December 2023, just a day after the International World of Peoples with Disability. Yeah. International Day of People with Disability that was commemorated yesterday. And of course, this year's theme being for, with, and by them. And we have this conversation this morning just focusing on women specifically and breaking the barriers when it comes to matters women with living with disability, even at workplaces, at homes, and even wherever environments that they are in. And of course, it is also, we continue to mark the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, and therefore aim to also peg that to this conversation. Of course, I'll be joined by very amazing ladies this morning, and to start, we do have Wahoo with us this morning.
Yes.
Just introduce yourself to our viewers this morning.
Good morning. I'm Elsie Wahunjoroge. I am a student. I am a mental advocate, and I'm excited to be here. I'm a person with disability. I'm a player, to be precise. And to be honest, as a person living with disability, I have not really come to full aspect of the information that we give out there about people with disability. And with me being one of them, I find that there are some of the things that we do as a nation, as the world, that don't sit right with us or with anyone at all when it comes to people living with disabilities or people with disabilities. And I'm really excited to be here today.
Great.
Yeah.
We're going to be speaking much that on creating awareness and the lack of information. Even there's an article I was just reading from Cynthia Asige, youth representing people living with disability in the Senate.
Yeah.
And she was just speaking to matters of sterilization and just how much there's no information given to people living with disability, so that sometimes you find yourself undertaking even some processes that can affect you later on. Yeah, but just tell us your story so that we find the basis of this conversation.
Oh, okay. My mom, during my birthday, was delayed. So technically, I was dead, born dead. So when the doctors tried to revive me, it was a bit of a process. But when I did, enough oxygen did go to my brain, all sides of my brain. So my right side was affected, the nervous system. So yeah, that is how I got hemiplegia. And to be honest, I am grateful for the people who are around me, my parents especially, because instead of hiding me or not encouraging me to be outspoken, they did the actual opposite. They encouraged me, they made me feel like, you know, you're okay, you can actually do it. As opposed to how people are out there, parents hide their kids, honestly. People with disabilities, they have no information. They are, can I say, oblivious to it. Sometimes it's out of shame, but then they don't really understand that it can really take a toll on the kid and even the society, how we are viewed as a community. And growing up, I really didn't face a lot of bullying, but then people would constantly ask me, are you okay? How is it that you're walking? Because I really didn't realize how I limp if it was not for people constantly making comments on it. Yeah, but I really didn't let it bother me. I went to school, I'm a graduate. I pursued economics and history, economics being my major, history my minor. Yeah, and currently I am doing a course, Cisco sponsored, called CCNA. So I'm a network engineer also. And as well, I'm a podcaster. I like speaking on issues. So I am really grateful for the people who are around me, and they encouraged me, my friends. So yeah, that is basically how it is life experience-wise. Yeah, and people not knowing how to deal with me, because sometimes I have to deal with a little bit of pain. That makes, yeah, somewhat difficult for a person like me and living with it. But it's usually encouraging when I see people.
Just expand on your condition, because there's someone who's watching but they're wondering.
Hemiplegia is a rare condition, and only 1%. I think I'm the lucky 1% who survives. It affects your brain, like totally, but then I got affected on one side, where you mobility becomes an issue. It's usually severe, like way severe than this. So as you can see, this is my hand.
Yeah.
You see, it's not as like this. Yes. And my leg, I limp, it's like short kiasi. Yeah, and it not many people know about it, to be honest. Yeah, but the few of us who know, or even the organizations, activists, who they're actually doing a pretty amazing job, if they could only get more support from the government, the public, the society. Yeah, so hemiplegia is just this. I have a definition of this. Yeah, but it's barely known because it's very not out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Amazing. Great. And I love how you're just proud, even speaking about it. I can just imagine you're just like the 1% of the people who outrightly speak about their condition. And that is an encouragement to most people here. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Just speak to me on how your journey has been like and the barriers you've gone through because of this condition.
Yeah.
What are the challenges that you face mostly as a woman?
Yeah.
Having this condition?
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'll give with a short story. In primary, I was outspoken. I am outspoken, and I am a performer. People with disability, they are stigmatized in a way of, you know what, because you're a person living disability, you're probably not smart.
Yes.
You're probably not leadership material. But then, grateful to God, I am all of those things. So in primary, you see how you'll perform and then you'll be placed as a prefect.
Yes.
So my teacher, I performed and I became number 1. But then, as soon as I was appointed, the teacher, I had her make a back comment by telling another student, a boy, you're going to be the class prefect as much as this one is, you're the power, the authority. So I was wondering, how is it, why should it be that I deserve this position, I have earned it, but then you're still power shadowing me?
Yes. In
the name of, you know what, maybe she can't because she has a problem or a disability, so she's not up to the task. Yeah. Or they want to take pity on me. But then people with disabilities, that is the last thing we actually need.
Yeah.
Pity, we do not like pity. So being a girl, being a woman, those are the few challenges in terms of power shadowing when you've earned for something, but then someone is trying to overthrow you or even just make you feel inferior. Yeah, and people not understanding you, not understanding how to deal that sometimes it comes with pain. If I'm being honest, I can't walk for long distances. Yeah. And such limitations, people don't understand. You get? Yeah, I can't do some of the jobs, though I'm very good. I'm very good at things that normal people will actually do. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't let it intimidate me or limit me to certain aspects. Yeah.
Awesome. Great. I just love your energy. And how now from your personal capacity are you helping break the barriers when it comes to even opportunities that are offered to people living with disabilities? And have you found yourself in an instance where you're searching even for a certain job, but you just feel like these people are discriminating me because of my condition?
Like I said, I'm a podcaster and I speak on issues I feel like people are sitting on or are not up to the task of just dealing with.
Yes.
And I try bring awareness the best I can. I try being inclusive to my fellow people with disabilities. And yeah, I speak on issues like I'm a class representative at where I'm at. So we are too many people there. So I've come to see different conditions, different energies, different just personalities, and let me tell you, they're so amazing. Like, I get to learn a lot from them, and they encourage me to be the better version of myself. Like, I learn how to deal with other people living with disabilities who have different conditions or my condition. And yeah, we make awareness by sometimes we have meetings where we try to bring out the aspect of we need to be heard, we need to know our fundamental rights, because people with disabilities, not a lot know about these fundamental rights. They do not understand that there are certain needs that they need. It's okay to be the way you are. They don't know that they are also they are supposed to be included in day-to-day activities, policy making, decision making, yes, and everything like that. So I really try my best. I'm also in the works of starting an organization where it will be inclusive. It's called No One Left Behind, yes, where it will be inclusive of everyone, kids, to teachers, to doctors, and most especially to people with disabilities, to create awareness, to give education to them in terms of remind them that you're great, you're also great, you're also capable. As much as you're limited in certain aspects, you're also able, you're also capable. Yeah, so that is what I'm doing. And in terms of being discriminated, I've not yet come to see or yet come to be discriminated I get questions like, are you capable? I can see, but then I am like, you've not even tried me out. Why do you have to let how I look be a problem? Yeah.
Okay, great. And any other success stories, even globally, that you've seen and they really impressed you when it comes to even offering opportunities to people living with disabilities?
So far, I like following people who are doing amazing things. Like, there's a girl, she's actually a CEO, a brand, and she's called, I really can't remember the name, Tabby. And this girl, she has a disability, she has been living with it, and she didn't let her limit. She has even employed the normal people to jobs, even giving chances to them and not letting her disability let her down, to not letting it limit herself or limiting her to be the best version she can. The fact that she is even able to give people out their jobs and also do her own thing is just amazing. So yeah, and also Steve Hawkins, the brilliant mind.
Yes.
He's amazing. Like, he encourages us, or personally, on a personal basis, to be, you can be magnificent even when you're being limited. That doesn't mean you can't do anything. Yeah.
Great. And Judith Oyo has joined us. How are you this morning? It's good to see you.
Yeah.
She's the founder, Ability Beyond.
Yeah.
Welcome to TV 47.
Thank you.
It's good to have you. And of course, you're having this conversation a day after we celebrated the International Day of People Living with Disabilities.
Sure.
And let me even start with just this in 2023, even as we are commemorating that day. Do you feel like we are there in terms of even inclusivity of women when it comes to matters, even workplaces and even managerial positions in organizations? When you look at our parliament right now, I'm sure, yes, we have a representation, but I feel like there's more to do. Yeah.
There's a lot to do in our country when we talk about people with disability. It's something that is there on papers but has not yet been implemented. So it's where they say that, oh, we want to advocate and give chance to people with disability, but it's just a talk that has not yet been implemented. Slowly by slowly, it's getting to be hard, but they only give the opportunity when there's something that they need out of it. So we have representation in the parliament, but how many are they? Are they able to be heard? Are they even being heard in the first place? Which we get that most of the time they're not like quite being heard because the number is so small. So when we also come and look at the workplace level with the women being a woman and being a disability is kind of 10 times as a normal woman, because you have to prove yourself. You prove yourself to your boss, you prove yourself to people around you, you prove yourself to your family. So it's kind of a way, it's hard, it's kind of burden. The society is yet to take the reality of disability is just something else, but not like a curse.
Yes.
Because the society has come up knowing that disability is a curse. Maybe you did something wrong to God or to the society, so you're supposed to be left behind. That is making us work much harder. But when I say it's kind of like 0.1% being given the opportunity, meeting a woman with disability who is in a managerial, and it's close to impossible. Yeah, because the only one I've met, like my manager is a person with disability, and me, but you get, it's only the two of us in the entire organization. Go to another organization, you get 0. So the society is still not yet at it.
Yes.
It's only in papers, but not yet being implemented.
What's your story?
Oh, my story, being a person with disability, I got my disability while I was in my 20 years, but I was sick for 4 years. So I was okay until when I got amputated. So later on, after getting amputated, is when I had to live with the reality. So being strong and being a person with disability requires a lot. I was a former president in my university, but I didn't get it that easier because I had to fight for it, and I had to make it true that this thing really can happen. But I was also told that we can't have a president who is physically unfit. So I had to prove to them that there's something that can happen beyond one being disabled. So it's always that people with disability, you always have to prove. Like, people just don't take it that you can do it, but you always have to prove. But at the end of the day, I did it. But it's kind of straining, because somebody will see you as ule msichana mlemavu, or somebody will see you as if you are sick. And in real sense, I'm not sick. It's only that I'm having kind of a challenge, but I can do something even much better. I can multitask. So as at now, I had to go to work first, then report, and then come back here. And does not mean that I'm not a person with disability. Does not mean that I'm not capable. And you can still do 2 things or 3 things at the same time. You only need the chance.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. It's just the perfect definition of abled differently and uniquely.
Thank you.
And we were having this conversation last week, and one of the panelists just really enlightened me, because he said from the disability, just remove the first 3 words, yeah? After that, it's pure ability.
Yeah.
And Denita Gatti, it's good to have you. She is a former member of parliament representing people living with disabilities. Really excited to have you this morning. How are you doing?
Thank you very much.
And looking sharp.
Yeah, we just came out of, our day.
Yeah.
UN Day for Persons with Disabilities.
Ooh, yeah, I can imagine.
Just
So excited about it.
Yes.
Okay, great. Let's just start with your story of how you found yourself there, so that we form the basis of our conversation this morning.
My story is unique, and I'm really glad to be here to tell my story with my colleagues. I am 9 years actually into disability. I wasn't born disabled. I was born, a normal child, growing up until I was 33 years, and then I got into disability. I actually got into disability when I was in parliament. So you can imagine the entire life, up to 33 years, I was, a normal person with completely no disability. Yeah. Then I get into parliament I was the first woman rep for the county of Migori. And then 1 year into my election in parliament, this is purely a road accident. So that's how I got myself into this physical disability. This is what we call physical disability. So I've learned along the way how to survive as an adult with a disability. It's quite a challenge, because I tell people that it would be easier to be born. I know it's difficult, but because when you're born with a disability, you completely get used to it from a very early age. You know how to survive with it, you know how to somehow, despite the barriers that, of course, my colleagues have mentioned. But, you get into an adult stage, and you get into a disability, you know, you start learning life like afresh.
Yeah.
So it is more double, you know, kind of huge responsibility, because I've learned along the way for the 9 years that I've lived with a disability now, is to live with it and to survive and to understand what is it like, what does it mean to, you know, it's you know, how do you survive, how do persons with disabilities survive? So for the 9 years I've been living as a person with disability, trying to learn the ropes, trying to learn how to survive, you know. So trying to understand the world of disability. In fact, I've learned a lot. So I've had an opportunity to live the two worlds, the two lives. One without a disability, two with a disability. So for me, it becomes a little easier to tell when I'm seeing something wrong, when I'm seeing like my rights are violated, because I know when I didn't have a disability, what was I, you know, what was I more entitled to? What was I getting that I'm not getting now with a disability? And I can tell you there's a huge difference. And that is why you see all of us, when we come, and we make noise all the time. You know, as people with disabilities, people think we are just loud. We have to be loud. We make noise. And we've been making noise all through. We cannot just keep quiet. We have to just keep making noise so that people understand what it is like to be a person with disability and in a highly discriminative society. Somehow it has been, but now with time, as you can see, things slightly are improving comparatively from my own experience as a member of parliament who has been in the House making legislations and laws and policies for persons with touching persons with disabilities. And looking around the Africa region, for example, we are far much better in the Africa region comparatively in terms of persons with disabilities, in terms of how we, you know, we can see deliberate efforts. We can see the government is trying. Although, you know, it's something new to them, they have been assuming, but you know, it has now forced them to, you know, and we want to be competitive in the market, in the region. But we are doing well as a country on our issues. We have to change discrimination. We have to change the stigmatization. We have to change the culture. We have to even change until Parliament. We have to change. And until even State House, we have to change. So it is something that we as persons with disabilities, we are painfully knowing that it is a culture that has been discriminative. But we also accept the fact that it is changing slowly. The ratio might be low, but the will somehow is beginning to show.
Okay, great, Denita. And of course, we'll come back to continue this conversation, a very interesting one. And of course, you can interact with us at TV47 News on X, TV47 Kenya on Facebook. The hashtag is Morning Cafe. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Cafe, and we're having an interesting conversation here concerning matters people living with disability. And I have Judith Yo, she's the founder Ability Beyond. I also have Elsie Wahu, she is a mental health advocate, and Denita Gatti here, former member of parliament, as well as someone who represents and also advocates for the rights of people living with disability. And Elsie, even as we are having this conversation, there's the whole conversation of stigmatization and misconceptions and stereotypes that are linked to people living with disability. How have you been able to deal with this along the way?
Yeah. My dad told me something when I was young, from way young. You're capable. You're very capable. Do not listen to the voices. Just do you. As long as you know it's something you can do, as long as you're very aware of yourself, you can do it. Do not mind any back talk or anyone who is trying to bring you down. If they're of no relevance to you, please shut them out. And basically that has been something that has gotten me through a lot of things, a lot of stigmatization, in the sense of the question of, can you do something? Are you able to do that thing? That constant question has made me use that slogan of, if they're of no relevance, if they bring nothing to the table, if they do not impact you or add value to you, just push them off or just rub it off and just do you. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And Oyo, you were speaking of, you have your manager is someone living with disability at your organization.
Yeah.
So what role do you think, even creating awareness and so that we can help people be able to treat women specifically equally when it comes even to giving opportunities and just breaking the barriers within work organizations?
What really needs to be done is just to let's stand from the societal norm where women were not given certain opportunities, and as at now you see women were fighting for the space, and it's working, it's on progress. But now when we come to persons with disability, so we have to fix it so that it can also work, because we say that a woman should be mentored. Everyone is talking about a woman, but nobody is talking about, few people are talking about a woman with disability. And it's kind of, now we have to come out as women with disability and say that we also need to give opportunity to women with disability. I thank my organization, which is a bank, that gave me the opportunity to work as a woman also with disability and does several things. But how many people with disability, women with disability out here are getting the same opportunity? Because you find somebody looks for the job and the only thing that they're capable of seeing is your disability. And the only thing I need is like the society should, or the organization should change the norm of if you are a woman and you are disabled, kind of a way you might be limited, or maybe you are a woman, you are disabled and also having a kid and a family, that will be so much limiting. But the thing is, give them the chance. Let them work. Let them fail where they can fail and pass where they can pass. Because the only risk here is to give them the chance. Because once, if a woman with disability gets the chance to be at that position, they will do it, and they'll do it most perfectly. Because most of the time people feel like, okay, you are not capable of doing, let us just give you this. But have you given them the opportunity and see whether they're capable or not capable of doing it?
Okay,
Yeah.
Great, perfect. And Gita, from when you're serving in Parliament, you didn't get here with this condition. You just came, something happened along the way. How was the treatment before and after? And also, are there some of bills that you pushed for to advocate for the rights of people living with disabilities?
Thank you again. It's, you know, being a member of Parliament and being with a disability, actually we are called people with disabilities, not people living with disabilities. So the correct word is persons with disabilities or people with disabilities. Even in Parliament, and I was surprised when I got into Parliament and I got myself into disability, the treatment was completely different. As a non-disabled member, and as a disabled member. Even those members of parliament who are there as disabled members, it is not easy. You know, you then realize that even parliament itself, by that time, it was really struggling to adjust itself in terms of, you know, things that are accessibility into parliament, things that, you know, sign language, you know, in the house. Yeah. So when I got into parliament and when I got now into the disability community, I actually realized that there are so many things that are missing, even on the floor of the house. We had to make noise and say, can we get accommodation within parliament? You know, parliament traditionally had not been seeing so many members of parliament using wheelchairs or using, you know, needing assistance as disabled members. And so we had to really make noise. We quickly had to come together as the Kenya Disability Parliamentarians Association, KEDIPA. And apparently we found ourselves to be many of us. And so we gathered together and we said we have to get a voice, that we have to advocate for members of parliament to be treated the same way. To have, you know, in parliament, members of parliament with disability sit at the back. You know, they don't sit in front, where the speaker can easily see you as a disabled member to be able to speak. So we made noise. But so parliament had to adjust our seating arrangements, although we still got back. Now the members who are there now, what we are pushing is that we find space near the speaker, so that when a member of parliament, you know, because you don't have to raise your hand, you just put your card and the speaker is supposed to detect. But sometimes when it becomes serious, the speaker says you have to sit at the back just in case, for your safety. If, for example, God forbid, parliament is bombed, how do disabled members get out of parliament? So we also realize that even within parliament, we have had to do so much to ensure that even access to the gallery, the public gallery, so that when students with disabilities come to visit parliament, they're able to actually get into the gallery and sit. Hardly do you see students, young people with disabilities visiting parliament, because accessibility has been a problem. It has now changed a little bit. Now, when I was in parliament, looking at issues of persons with disabilities, one of the key issues, and I can tell you for sure and for free today, that persons with disabilities of Kenya, disability is not our problem. Disability is not our problem. The problem is the barriers that the society creates to persons with disabilities. You know, because we are used to the disability, but now you realize that there's no accessibility to anywhere. Buildings are not accessible, meaning that you have to basically just be left behind. I want to see probably a governor of a county. I can't reach him. He's on 5th floor. I have to wait for him to come down. And the governor, how many governors have you seen coming down to see persons with disabilities? It is difficult. Those are the kind of accessibility measures that we have. That discrimination, you know, you can see it. You know, a normal person who is not disabled cannot see this discrimination. You know, it just happens. It just happens. But we, as persons with disabilities, it's very easy to tell. Why am I not able to see it? So when I was in parliament, what do I have been able to do? And I remember bringing a bill on the floor of the house, saying persons with disabilities in Kenya, because my bill was actually compelling the government to provide free assistive devices to persons with disabilities at constituency level. As things are now, persons with disabilities from Isebania border, where I come from, that's where I'm born. So from there, they will have to come to Nairobi to renew a wheelchair, for example, to get crutches, to get, you know, and people do not understand when we talk about assistive devices, what do persons with disabilities use? You know, people think it's only a wheelchair or it's only crutches, but they don't know that we, people with disabilities, especially the community of spinal injury community, use things like diapers. These adult diapers, these catheters that you think they're just for, you know, imagine, those are normal things. Those are assistive devices to persons with disabilities. These braids that we are hearing, those are assistive devices. So my bill in parliament was to compel the government to provide free assistive devices, including these, these catheters, these diapers to persons with disabilities at the constituency hospital, public hospital, so that a disabled person in Homa Bay is able to go to Homa Bay District Hospital and pick the items free of charge. Those are things that the government can subsidize. we do not have to really make noise, too much noise, but we can make soft noise that can compel government to actually take the agenda for persons with disabilities very seriously. Persons with disabilities in this country are highly unemployed. They have no jobs. You can see, even yesterday when we were celebrating the International Day for Persons with Disabilities in Ruaraka, the Nairobi City County was in Ruaraka.
Yes.
And we were there, making noise there and telling the county, and I'm very happy, and I want to report to you that Nairobi City County, where we are now, has taken the issue of disability very seriously. Very seriously. They have, the governor has immediately decided to create a ministry that is called a Ministry of Inclusion and Partnerships.
Yes.
A serious inclusion that takes care of disability. If you go to our counties, they don't have that. What they have is that in their government, those CECs that you see are the County Executive Committee members, those CECs, those ministers, are clamped together with the Ministry of, it is education, sports, youth, you know, and disability falls under this. So you see, Nairobi has led, and I was very happy to hear that. Specifically, a minister that looks at inclusion.
Yes.
And that is specifically for persons with disabilities. For me, that is a very big plus, and we hope that it goes to other counties, so that we are not, disability matters are not clamped into sports, gender, youth. You know, we are all together.
Yeah.
How do we ensure that we have a ministry that looks at that? And that's what we are pushing through the Disability Association, through the county committees that they have, so that counties, the various counties are able to establish their own legislations. I'm involved in helping them to see how can you create legislation, craft legislations that can help. If Nairobi can lead in disability empowerment, other counties will follow suit. Because everything happens in Nairobi.
Absolutely.
So if Nairobi has taken it, and I'm so happy, I'm so pleased. Other counties will copy.
That's
and
such a
that
great
we have a budget
initiative, actually.
for disability.
Yeah, awesome. And Judith, from your personal experience or perspective, because again, this just starts with you. If you do not advocate for it, then we're likely to be left behind. So what are some of the initiatives that you've taken to just ensure that the community and organizations are inclusive when it comes to even the treatment of people with disabilities?
Sure. Thank you so much. I started that while I was in the university, when I first, I had to contest, so that at least, you know, you have to come out from your comfort zone. So I contested for Miss University, where I became the first runners-up. And people were so much happy because the courage that came out of it. And I was so much happy because after that, more and more people with disability came in and started participating. Then after that, I vied for being the president. Now, being the president wasn't that easy with the students, but there's some who really believed in me, and the administration also tried supporting me, and I got the seat. But after that, I had to make sure that the persons with disability, they don't just sit behind or not get access to whatever they need, because during those days, the washrooms for the persons with disability were not put in place. So I had to talk, and I had to say that we need these toilets. We need the washroom. They need to get their own washrooms, because they don't need to go to a place that is so much wet, because the people use crutches. I use prosthetic limb, and I also use the crutches. So it's kind of not good with a wet floor. After that, I kept on doing it in the Kuso, where I also advocate for the space for persons with disability. Currently, I'm in politics, and I'm the chair of the Disability League in my party, but still, we are still trying to implement that so that it can be implemented also in the Constitution. So the one thing that I do as of now is to advocate for the persons with disability with the organization that I'm bringing up, which is Ability Beyond. So Ability Beyond was raised, now it's almost an year, and through me working and advocating for persons with disability, got an opportunity to go to University of Minnesota through Mandela Washington Fellowship. And that was just because I was working towards advocating for persons with disability. We get a lot of people with persons with disability, but there's no road transportation that is accommodative. You see our transport system is at a mess. I always suffered when it comes to me getting to work in the morning. So you just have to see somebody will give you a space so that you can get into the car, or you stand there until when you'll find that car. So it's quite a mess when it comes to our transportation. It's quite a mess when it comes to appointing persons with disability in various organizations. I go to, I'm looking for an apartment. I can't get it down because it's full, so I have to go up. And it doesn't mean that you have to limit me that I have to stay in ground floor, but you need to put a way that I can get into 4th floor, but in a very easy way for me, because most of our constructions are not inclusive, because it's either you are told, it's either you stay on the ground floor and you are limited to be on the 4th or 5th floor. Yes. You go to this institution, you are limited to reaching the offices. So you go to the road, you are limited to walk. Look at the CBD. Where do somebody with wheelchair walk when everyone is walking around? Look at it, when you are a person with disability, you have to walk in the between the cars. Some will not see you, will pretend that they don't see you, but some will feel like, okay, let me give her alone, let me give him the way. So like the society is trying to adjust, but the society isn't that much adjusting. Yes. So I am advocating also for the persons with disability and transportation that I've been also doing, and we need to improve our means of transportation. Yeah.
Wow, amazing, good stuff. And from this conversation, I guess it's actually we in the community are creating these problems for these people.
Yeah.
You know? And Elsie, being in the position that you're at, what would you like people to do in order to just be more accommodative to everyone?
To be honest, someone told me, reminded me yesterday, that the advocacy and empowerment of people with disability shouldn't just be a one-day thing. Like how we celebrated International People with Disabilities Day yesterday. Yes. That doesn't have to be the only day we have to do so. Yeah. It should be an everyday thing. Yeah. It should be a 24-hour thing, you get? So I encourage people to just want to know more about us, yes, to want to engage with us, to want to understand us, to want to know how they can help make us comfortable or even be able to live with each other in a way that is very inclusive and accommodative. Yeah, so it's more of just have the urge of wanting to know more, be more informed, just ask around, asking someone, how do you feel like I can accommodate you? How do you feel like I can assist you in a way of you will feel more comfortable, you'll feel more content, you won't be limited by certain things. It's not bad, just know. Just encourage yourself to be more informed. That is basically a huge factor I think people need to work on.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. And from a legislative point of view, what are there even policies and strategies that have been put in place to support people with disabilities? And if not, what are some of the key things that the government should focus on when it comes to ensuring that there is inclusivity?
Yeah, this country has no shortage of laws. We completely have no shortage of laws. We have quite a number of laws. Yeah. Kenya is a signatory to so many treaties, international treaties. You know, when a country signs treaties outside there, it compels that country to come and now, implement them, domesticate their treaties to make it compliant with the laws and make sure that those laws are implemented. Yes. We have no shortage of laws in this country, especially on disability matters. What we do not have is that big will. That big will is what is lacking, the political will. And that's why we want to say we have to push. We have, obviously, Kenya is a signatory to the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. It's a huge law. Now, Kenya also has, the Constitution. If you look at our Constitution, which borrows heavily from the UN Convention, the UN CRPD. Yes. That is what you've had. Kenya borrows, our Constitution borrows a lot from the UN CRPD. Our Constitution, in Chapter 4, the entire Chapter 4, Bill of Rights of the Constitution talks about persons with disabilities, non-discrimination, all these things. Now, it comes down again to what we are seeing now. The will is there, because if we are talking now, you can see counties right now are actually in the process of developing their own county persons with disabilities bill. That is where counties are. That tells you that will is there. I don't know where the disconnect comes, because very few counties have actually enacted that law. In Kenya right now, you know, in every parliament that comes, you know, we were almost, ready to actually have the persons with disabilities bill in this country. Yes. Again, when we went into the general election in parliament, you know, that law again dies like that. So right now in parliament, we are pushing to have it revived. Yes. Together with the ministries, the executive has to bring it to parliament to be discussed. So, and then from there now it will be able to pass. So this country has no shortage of laws on disability. That's why I'm saying our problem is discrimination. Our problem are the barriers that are there. As my colleagues are saying, you know, we have learned to live with our disability. But then how do you make it again worse? Why don't you make it easy? Why don't you normalize? Because we are struggling to normalize disability. Yes. In Nairobi County here, when we are talking about accessibility, you see, where are people? When you see sometimes these hawkers who are disabled being thrown right, left, and center, yes. Why can't the government say we are giving priority to the hawkers with disabilities to get their own spaces to do trade, to do their businesses without them making so much? Why do we have to keep making noise? And we make noise so loudly, unfortunately. And you know, life is not about making noise every day. Yeah. Yes. But for us as persons with disabilities, we will continue making noise in this country. Yeah. We are in a situation as a disability players in Kenya where we are trying to come together. We want, as disability players and actors, the APDK, the UDPK, the National Council for Persons with Disabilities, and so many other partners. Yeah. We want to forge a partnership with the government. We want to collaborate and partner. Yes. That way we are able now, so that the government doesn't see us as those people who are making noise all the time. Yeah. We want to bring a symbiotic relationship where the government says we are prioritizing persons with disabilities. Nairobi is pledging to prioritize disability matters. So we want to live in a country that is extremely comfortable. Yes. Where I work, you know, I've had an opportunity to live outside the country. I studied in the US. And in the United States, disability is not even an issue. Yeah. Yes. Anywhere you go, disability is not an issue. People who are blind, they'll go into the streets with their white cane, and there's that machine that tells you, now you're able to cross, stop. Yes. You know, it speaks. Yes. What do you call those things? Yeah. It accommodates, you know, those things that are accommodative. They will tell you, in the streets of London, I walk like, I'm very comfortable. Yes. But now, come to our country, we have a problem. Yes. We have a problem. I remember when you had the space
to even move
around. Yes. Yeah. The BRT came, the bus transit system. Yes. I was in Parliament, and I remember bringing a legislative amendment at a question on the floor of the House, and I asked, what considerations are there on the BRT buses for persons with disabilities? Yes. Yeah. Have you designed places where, when that bus comes down, it has to come down so that I get out with my wheelchair and I go in, and it goes, and you know, when I'm coming out. But you know, this country, we are still pushing, and we realize that actually, you know, they say, oh, actually we forgot those people. You know, we are called those people. Yeah. Yeah. You know, that is the word now, person with disability. Yeah. Those people tuliwasahau watu. Hao watu wanalia sasa. We cannot be used as baits. Yeah. That you have to keep on saying, now when it comes to Disability Day, which is the 3rd of every December, that's when everyone is busy, you know, seeming like now you care about disabled people. Why don't we normalize disability such that it is so normal? Yes. Women with disabilities in this country, when we are talking about 16 days of activism, and you are seeing how women with disabilities are being, you know, they are raped, they are facing violence. There is a lot of things that targets women with disability because of our vulnerabilities. Yeah. We will not allow that, and we will keep making noise. That is what we are saying. How can we make enough noise so that right from State House to our counties, it is so normal to be disabled. It is normal to be disabled, you know, because obviously our roads, people get accidents every day. Where are we going to take people with disabilities? No. Women with disabilities are giving birth in this country. Yeah. We are leading households. We are normal people. How then do we ensure that our programs in the counties and our programs in Kenya take into cognizance the fact that we have reproductive health needs? And we have sexual reproductive health needs that needs to be mainstreamed in health, for example. So when the country is talking about the universal health care, what considerations do we have for women with disabilities in health.
Yes.
When we're talking about this thing, you're seeing housing is all over the place. How do we ensure that persons with disabilities are not only told, you now you can only occupy a ground floor,
yes,
where you can just wheel yourself and get a house there. Persons with disabilities must, so meaning you have to have a ramp, you have to have a lift that takes persons with disabilities. Because we want to also see the balcony, we want to be in the penthouses and see how they, you know, that life, when we normalize disability in this country, life will be so normal. And as I've told you, disability is not our problem. Barriers are the problem.
Yes.
Exclusion is the problem. Unemployment is the problem. So we will keep making noise. We will keep on making noise as disabled people of this country. So we are there and we will make noise.
Perfect. I just love the energy and the passion that you have when speaking about these matters. But let's take a short commercial break. We'll be back with more. Watching a Morning Cafe, and of course you continue that conversation on International Day for People Living with Disabilities, and we've had such an amazing session here. Actually, I don't want it to end, but TV's time. So let me just give each one of you just less than a minute to give us a final shot, just a message to the society in as much as breaking barriers when it comes to really being in an inclusive society is concerned. You start with you.
Okay, thank you so much. The only thing that I would like to add to society is that disability is not a curse, but it's just a condition that somebody might be having, and giving a chance to persons with disability is the most important thing in the society. A lot of children are not given the opportunity to go to school because they're disabled. When one gets disabled, they're not given opportunity to move on with their lives because I get amputated, and given chance with my parents lead me to this kind of a position. I am a woman, I am a single mom, I am a banker at my bank, I advocate for the persons with disability, I am the Disability League chair, and I am disabled does not limit me to do all these kind of things. And the government should at least try and subsidize on the tax for the persons with disability on prosthetic limb. These are quite expensive and are hard to get or even to import to our country. So this is what I would also like to urge the government to see on the part of the working aid the prosthetic are really hard to access in our country here today, and also accessing the walking aids. So this is something that should be urged, and all the children should be given opportunity to go to educate, to have their education, and the persons with disability should be given opportunity to be employed in the organization.
Amazing. Elsie?
My insight to the community is to do not dismiss us. Do not think that we are less than capable. Like my colleague has said, we are more than capable. Just given a chance, just given the platform to do so, we are more than capable of doing so. And be more informed. It turns out that there are different categories of disability. There is physical, and even turns out even mental. There is mental disability, but we call them psychosocials. So do not dismiss people with disabilities. Be more informed and just allow us. I am speaking for the youth part, the young people. Even in the policies that we make, even in the decision process, please just involve us. We also have a voice. I am proof, if so. Yeah, so given a chance, just let us be, let us do, yeah, and just let us act.
Okay, great. And finally?
I just want to say that disability rights are human rights.
Yes.
Persons with disabilities have rights, just like any other person without a disability. So I know that counties currently are developing their persons with disabilities bills, and I just want to call upon counties to expedite that process so that persons with disabilities are able to enjoy the rights in those bills. I also want to actually call upon, because persons with disabilities live in counties, various counties, we have persons with disabilities, we are there. So I just want to call upon our county governments to take the issue of persons with disabilities as their main agenda, so that they're able to prioritize their funding, they're able to prioritize their budgets in terms of persons. And we're here. You know, we are going nowhere. Persons with disabilities are in this country. We are a population that we cannot just be ignored. If the government does not do that, we will continue to make noise. And it's not a good show. And I just want to say that we are trying as a country, and I want us to continue to collaborate between government, between the private sector, between disability actors. That collaboration, that one voice is for me what I'm calling for, because we have been a bit fragmented in terms of raising our voice. So let us have that unity for persons with disabilities. Let us have that collaboration, that partnership with the government, especially the government, to continue to support persons with disabilities and to ensure that the persons with disabilities bill is basically enacted.
Okay, great. Ladies, Denita Gatti here, former Member of Parliament, and as well as the first woman representative of Migori County. Yes. It's good to have you on such an enlightening discussion. Elsie Wahua, mental health advocate. Amazing to have had you this morning. And Judith Olo, their founder, Ability Beyond. Indeed, a very interesting conversation, and I do hope this conversation just doesn't end here. I would wait for the next 3rd of December, come 2024. Let us, even with the theme of this year being united in action to rescue and achieve the SDGs for, with, and by